This is the movie review for Star Wars Rogue One, a Star Wars story, and it is the wee hours of December the 15th, 2016. The movie opens in theaters here in Manila today, December 15th, and I just came from the midnight screening and a local IMAX theater of the movie Rogue One. And off the bat, I will say there'll be some spoilers in this movie review, so if you don't want to be spoiled, you can go ahead and watch some other of my videos and then come back to this video after you've seen the film. Or if you want to be spoiled and you want to know what happens, watch at your own risk. All right. So the movie Rogue One, an anthology movie by Star Wars, Lucasfilm, and Disney. It's not part of the trilogy sagas. It's not an episode or anything like that, but it does take place. The movie takes place in between Episode 3 and Episode 4, and the events that take place in the movie are literally the events that happen before the first thing we see on Episode 4, which I'll get back to in a little while. But these are the events that take place just before Episode 4, A New Hope. All right. General feelings about the movie. It's a great film. You know, this is a wonderfully, wonderfully made film. It's not the best Star Wars movie ever. I'm sure a lot of will argue that it's Episode 5. So I'd like to think Episode 6 was the best. Some would say Episode 7 is the best. Some say Episode 2 was the best. I don't know. Episode 4 might be the best for some of you, but this movie is right there. Definitely better than the prequels. Better than Episode 7? I don't know. The lack of Jedis here in this film, I think it's a thing that, there's really no Jedis, but they could have if they wanted to. But in this film, the focus was on Rogue Squadron, the Rogue One band of misfits that were accidentally formed to do missions, serendipitously formed to do missions. So, lack of Jedi presence here puts the movie not in as a high plane as, say, Episode 5 or Episode 7, something like that. But the presence of a lot of elements in the Star Wars saga, especially Darth Vader, the Death Star, just more than makes up for the lack of Jedi's here in this film. So, I personally think this is a movie for the Star Wars fans. For those of you who really love the original trilogy, Episodes 4, 5, and 6, this movie takes you back to that world of the original trilogy, and it is a thrill. It is quite a rush just to be embedded back in that universe. Having said that, I'm not entirely sure if the movie is going to be well appreciated or enjoyed by the younger crowd, any kids. There's a lot of drama involved in this film. Half the movie is about the character development, characters struggling with their own demons, characters trying to redeem themselves. A lot of relationships, a lot of the character development, and focus on the drama behind the character. And that's what's going on in a good part of the first half of the movie. The second part is, as you can imagine, the action sequences, the fulfillment of the mission and all that. And with that, it's not so much the violence that bothers me, it's just the amount of talking and drama that the kids might not appreciate. Because I remember when I was watching the original trilogy, the first Star Wars movie I ever watched was Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. I saw it on Betamax, and I remember as a kid I would fast forward to the fight scenes, to the action scenes, and just skip a lot of the talking scenes. So, we'll see. Anyway, we'll find out if the kids. But as a Star Wars fan, man, the biggest take I get from this movie is that it teleports you back into that world of the original trilogy, and it is amazing. Now, I say that because, as the movie begins, uh, you immediately get a feel of Star Wars universe. There's a lot of elements from the original trilogy, from I, I think even the prequels, and maybe even Rebels or the Clone Wars, whatever that are incorporated. I think Rebels mostly, not Clone Wars, but that has been incorporated in the film. And these are very small, subtle, very subtle snippets that remind you that, oh my God, it is the Star Wars universe, and oh, we got that. Ooh, I saw that guy. That guy reminds you of an episode 4 scene or an episode 5 scene, something like that. Um, and I won't get too much detail, but some of the highlights that I saw that makes this movie so much interesting is because, uh, well, the starships. There's a U-wing fighter, the new one, and uh, the Tie striker. But there's a lot of Tie fighters. There's a lot of X-wings. There's a lot of frigates, rebel ships. There's a lot of Imperial starships. The Death Star. There's still a lot of stormtroopers, but you get these guys. Very nice. And the story of the Star Wars saga story is well alive in this film. You get a young person growing up, wanting to be something, joining the rebellion, and fulfilling a mission. So that's what happens to Jin. Her father, Mads Mikkelsen, played by Mads Mikkelsen. Her father was a scientist, a weapons developer with the Empire, and they used him to create the Death Star, and he created a flaw so that the rebels would have a chance, and that was the message he gave Jin. He had a flaw, and then they should download the plans and get it so they defeat it. So that's a story of Jin, and she gets put together serendipitously, accidentally, with Cassian Andor. Then they meet the two or Jedi Temple protectors, the blind Chirrut Imwe, Baze Malbus with the big guns, and then somehow the defecting pilot. What's his name? I forgot the pilot. Rook, Bodhi Rook, joins the fray. It forms the team, and then of course K2SO, who plays part of the comic relief, and he's very sharp, witty remarks. He joins it, and they form a mission. There's actually two missions in the film. The first one was to rescue, quote unquote, Jin's father and verify the information from Bodhi Rook, whether there is a Death Star and there are the plans. And the second mission comes from when Jin's father tells her to go to Scarif to get the actual plans downloaded from there. So there's a lot of planets involved, and that was a little bit. I think that was one of the things that I felt that the kids would not enjoy. There's just too many planets, but that is Star Wars. That's Star Wars fashion. There's a lot of places in the galaxy that the story takes place. So I was totally okay with it. But if you're new to Star Wars, it's like, which planet are they on? Are they on Jeddah? Oh, okay. Where are they now? They're in Edu, and then there's two other planets, Scarif, and then another one. And anyway, so what? It's fine. So that's it. At the end of the movie, they do fulfill the mission. They download the plans, they get the plans, they beam it up to the rebels, and the rebels get it. And incidentally, the very last scene of the movie is rebels getting the plans to Princess Leia Organa. And oh my God, there was a big thrill in the theater when they finally saw that scene with Leia getting the plans. So great sort of segue from episode 3 to episode 4. Some of the highlights were Darth Vader. Yes, Darth Vader. Wow. He's just so imposing. If you're very versed with the Star Wars mythos or mythology, you'll know. Just when the first time you see Darth Vader, even without his suit on, and when he puts on his suit in the second to the last scene before Princess Leia, when he just dismembers and just overpowers a bunch of rebel troopers using the Force and his lightsaber, and man, Vader makes a very, very strong appearance here in this movie, and it just sends shivers to you if you're such a big fan of the Star Wars franchise, Star Wars universe. And Darth Vader, my all-time favorite villain, Marvel's any comic book villain or movie villain, Marvel or GI Joe or Transformers. I love Darth Vader. So anyway, he was spectacular in the movie. They used James Earl Jones. They probably used another actor to do the stunts of Darth Vader. And my favorite part was rebels were trying to escape. He boards one of the rebel ships, and the rebels have already downloaded the data. They're trying to get out, but the door's stuck, and then the wall suddenly becomes dark, and they hear that sound, that scuba gear sound, and you know they're gonna be toast. And it was so, oh my goodness, it was such a great experience watching that scene. Anyway, apart from speaking of Princess Leia, they did get an actress that looked so much like a young Carrie Fisher. I thought they just CGI'd Carrie Fisher, but I checked the credits. There is another actress playing Princess Leia Organa, and such a dead ringer for a very young Carrie Fisher. And wow, I was very amazed. You know, I don't think they did any editing on that. I think she was real lookalike. Speaking of lookalikes, Grand Moff Tarkin, she was still Governor Tarkin, makes an appearance there. He's sort of the boss of Krennic, Director Krennic. He reports to Tarkin. Tarkin wants to take credit for the Death Star. And wow, they found somebody who looks exactly like Grand Moff Tarkin. Well, who was his name? Peter Cushing. I think he's dead, but I thought they had CGI'd him, but no. I checked the credits. It's another actor playing Governor Tarkin, and he looks so much like Tarkin. I don't know if they use latex or whatever. I don't think so. I think that's his natural face. Or wow, both the Leia, the Tarkin, they look so much like their original selves. Unbelievable. Well done, Star Wars. Well done, Gareth Edwards. But oh wow, it was such a rush just seeing a lot of the old, and in between the films there's so many references to the old films, like a hologram projector of an Ula dancing. You get one of the rebel soldiers with the species of Bib Fortuna. The two guys that sort of accost Luke in the cantina, the guy that loses his arm, and Walrus Man, they were there. R2D2 and C3PO, they make such a brief appearance. The X-Wings, Darth Vader, definitely, the Death Star, all the starships, the stormtroopers. No speeder bike reference though, which is a shame. I wanted that. Yeah, the final battle, they had to take down a shield. They had to begin their run. It's that. It's a lot of those things, and I'm just very impressed. Okay, the final spoiler I'm gonna say, they do fulfill the mission, but everybody dies. I you know getting the premise of this movie, I knew there would be casualties, but deep down inside you'd hope that maybe one or two would survive, but nobody survives. Everybody dies. I don't want to talk about it, but everyone had an epic death, and it's a great movie, but it's also a sad movie. It's just something that had to happen, much like Episode 3, that it had to happen. So, kind of bittersweet. I was kind of hoping we'd get at least Jin surviving, or Jin and Cassian Andor surviving, but they don't. Nobody survives. Even K2SO does not survive. The only thing that survives is the plans for the Death Star. And with that, I'd like to give the movie a 9 out of 10. I think it's an unbelievable movie. Go see it in IMAX. I saw it in IMAX. Amazing visuals. And there you go, folks. Hope you've enjoyed this little spoiler-ish video review of the Star Wars, the Rogue One, the Star Wars story movie. Thanks for watching.